Hey everybody, another episode of On the Paint Table. It's my weekly show where you see what I got done, what I'm working on, and what is coming up. So this week I got my 3D printer back up and running because I was recording 2 more games of the new army from the Broken Truth starter set for Grimdark Future, and I needed to add some stuff to my army from the 2-player starter set. So I painted up some more Robot Legionnaires, and then I got my my terrain for the Kill Team Typhon box assembled and primed. And I even remembered the spray rattle cans today to show you on the table what got done. So I did put out the rest of the Robot Legion Army because I've never featured it on the paint table before, and it just got done recently. So I figured I would just do like a roundup of everything that I painted and talk about how. And I got all the rattle canning and contrast painting, like just base tones down on the terrain, which would be roughly the same way that I do my actual Tyranids. For this Typhon, like NPO stuff for some solo and co-op kill team. So let's take a look at what got done and what is coming up. All right, so first things first, here's that Robot Legion collection I've painted up. These were all like pre-release samples for the Broken Truth box set back here. And I did them in kind of my classic Necron-y, robot-y, like a platinum style painting. So they were all base coated with this. This is a Rust-Oleum Ultra Cover aluminum metallic, and it's a great, like just thin bonder. If you haven't used these Rust-Oleum paints, if you see that symbol on it anywhere, that means it's the same guys that made Tester's Dull Coat. And this week's paint jobs were these guys. So I painted up the Annihilators. These are big 40 mil based, sort of like heavy infantry. That are, the shock assault troops. They have the ambush rule. They kind of like teleport through portals and then arrive as like a kind of like vanguard of like shock troops. And I did the heavy, this guy back here with his death ray. He's on a 50 mil base and he comes in a few different pieces. Got some different gun options as well. And I did the melee version, which is these guys. So they've got hyperphase swords, and these were a much needed shock assault, much needed like amount of speed to my army that I didn't have before. I was kind of like at the mercy of Bob Sorians, just like ripping me to pieces in melee. And so it was cool to have these guys. I had my snakes, but they weren't as really like versatile. The rest of these were painted up previously, and they are the box set content. So I've got my 2 units of warriors. These guys have Reaper rifles. The unit in front next to them have Gauss rifles. I have my Tomb Spider. I have some robot swarms, some robot snakes, and some Tomb Guardians. And those guys are like the special sort of bodyguard of the Overseer, who is this character model right here. And then his buddy, who is a Technomancer. And then in the back I have my tripod walker. It's very War of the Worlds. I will say that the resin it was printed in was very soft, and so I ended up putting it on a piece of brass rod. And this is actually an old Rackham AT-43 base. So I had loose bases for that game for some reason in baggies. I had a lot of AT-43 stuff, man. I really missed that game. I've actually used it for Grimdark Future. And then Bob was nice enough to in FDM print me this measuring gauge. It's a themed measuring gauge from the Army. So we're gonna put that together and paint that in the same kind of style. Now the style generally is after I'd spray it, I make my own wash with some like sepia India ink, a little bit of brown paint, and then some gloss varnish. And the gloss varnish helps the surface tension not break. It causes the pigment to kind of pool in the recesses. And so what you have is you have a nice kind of like patina on them that gives them kind of like an old metal look. And the idea was that these guys, they've been around for so long that whatever the top coat was on them is long since gone, and they're just kind of like the bare metal underneath now. So really easy to do, really happy with it, and yeah, the Army came along quick. The bases were done with just playground sand, like plain old ass playground sand, painted with brown paint, and then what I'll do is I'll wash a little bit of black wash into the center, and what that does is give that nice kind of shadowing. So you can see there's almost like a dark kind of ness to the middle of it. And then just from the middle out, basically dry brushing light brown reds. I think I did Mornfang brown. Is it Gorthor brown? It's like a brown orange. And then a little bit of just Wraithbone at the very edge there to make it pop. It kind of gives the shadow of the model on the center. And then I have Tufts on Tufts on Tufts. I think it's Army Painter Highland Tufts for part of this. And then I think the rest of them might be, I'm not sure who did the flowers. I think it might be Huge Minis did the flowers. But yeah, that's the Robot Legion. It was a fun project. I'm gonna paint a few more units for it, but then I'm actually planning on starting 3D printing a new army for this game, probably the Human Defense Force. Here's my Typhon terrain. Easy does it. This is barely started. This is just glued together. And then given a two-tone spray prime, I did this shake and spray. This is Premier Shake and Spray Rustic Rose, so a rustic pink that I used as the bottom coat for it. And then gave it a 45-degree prime with this old Wraithbone. And I'm pretty happy with that, actually. You can see, I think the best example of it is probably on these. You can see that the finish is nice and kind of organic looking. And it gave a nice base tone to do the Leviathan purple on. Now this all gets matted down when I do my matte finish afterwards, but I think it's Caribou Crimson wash for all the pink bits, and the Leviathan, that's all I've gotten done so far, because that's a laborious process. But I'm gonna go through, give a little dry brush on the edges of the armor plating and on the pink sort of like flesh sacks, and then go through with some Wraithbone, and then just edge highlight all of the beige parts, paint the bases, and I'm pretty much done. So this is clipping along, and once the train's finished, I'll start putting together Raveners and all of the little critters that need to go into this army. And my MPOs will be done, and then it's on to painting the last 5 Death Watch, because a different kill team is obviously fighting Hive Fleet Typhon. And last up, it is season 17 for ITS, for the Infinity Tournament System. And that means it's my yearly shot in the arm to get stuff going again and paint the projects that I have not finished. So I went through my Kestrel because that was the most recent army I was working on. They're not really finished. I just mostly did like the starter set and a few extra models and looked through what I needed to get painted. So I've got my shooter up here, my marksman. I need to paint my magistrate. Still to build the jackals to go with them, my Yamabushi Maximus. I have a drone. He'll probably end up just being a Fugazi. I might actually take his gun off him. And then my fireflies. I have to paint Dr. Priya, my Father Knight, the whatchamacallits, the Holy Order of the Crux Father Knights. And my War Corps, my Robo War Corps. And then I also wanted to get some more, there's a lot of panoplies and like boxes to move around in this edition. So getting my beacon and that stuff done for the new scenarios means I have some cool terrain for hauling around. There's like a prototype one that this will just be a cool model for. A bunch of different just neat sort of like asymmetrical and stuff missions in this one too. So I've already got my like defenses, my room defenses all done, and all my other like variety of objectives. These are ones I'd never finished. So it's just kind of a now or never. And then finally we have a satellite tournament coming up here in Ontario for Infinity. So I figured I need to paint a new army for it. I don't know if it'll be this one, because the other thing is that there are a bunch of comebacks. The 2 missing Ariadne factions and 3 missing, Neoterra, Varuna, and Akon Testamento are all back for Pano as well. So I got lots of unpainted stuff for all of those armies. It feels like I need to get some stuff done. So yeah, I'm excited for this. This is going to be like an ongoing thing for me. You can paint like 3 models for Infinity and then play a game. And as Jordan and I work our way through the different missions from the new ITS season pack, I will be painting probably like 4 models for all of my armies just to get excited and like try out some new things. And then last but not least, I gotta paint up my Plague for Epic Warpath. This is the next installment in like scale miniature warfare for Mantic, and has all 6 of their primary Warpath armies in it. And the Plague is one of my favorites. It's zombies. I have a soft spot for zombies. I got 6 frames this from the starter set, which is more than enough for probably close to 2,000 points for the game. But Bob and I are gonna start off at 1,000 points, and that means I gotta paint some infantry here. So 4 troop units, an HQ unit, a command unit, and then probably some vehicles, walkers, and zombies to go with it. And that's gonna be fun. So basing all these up, they're all in hard styrene plastic, and you can check out the GMG review yesterday when we had a look at these, but I'm really excited to build these. Mostly just because it's fun to do like grim, dark, gritty, gross, like hashtag 28 stuff in this scale, because it is super fast. Lots of washes, lots of dry brushing, picking out teeny details. It's just a fun artsy project. All 6 of these frames are the same. I've got a plethora of bases to put them on for actually getting the game going. Probably get that filmed in mid-November, because I don't know if you noticed, but I have projects on projects on projects on projects. But yeah, you'll see that work in progress stuff soon, probably here on the paint table. So tune in next week and see what has gotten done and what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for, if you're a patron, the GMG Monday show, and another tactical awareness as well on the Infinity channel. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.